So what's out? What can we go and see?
Okay, Made in England, the films of Powell and Pressburger, which is a documentary directed by David Hinton, presented by Martin Scorsese about the films of Powell and Pressburger, a.k.a. The Archers. You'll remember Thelma Schoonmaker came on the show and she was just brilliant. It was like having a visit from the Queen because she was discussing the Powell and Pressburger season.
Yes.
She had long been Scorsese's editor, and through him she met and married Michael Powell. And Scorsese had long been a champion of Powell. He pretty much rescued him from virtual obscurity in the UK, took him to Hollywood. He was the key player in the rediscovery of Peeping Tom, which we've talked about before, which had kind of become a forbidden film, a lost film, because it was, kicked around town by critics. So I think you could argue that Scorsese has done more to champion Powell in particular and Powell and Pressburger than almost anyone else. So this documentary revisits and celebrates their films. I'm a fan of theirs. I Know Where I'm Going, Colonel Blimp, Tales of Hoffman, Black Narcissus, Matter of Life and Death, and of course, Red Shoes. Here is a clip of Martin Scorsese enjoying Red Shoes.
The nicest theaters then were spectacles in themselves, great movie palaces, and the screens were huge, and they filled you with hope and expectation of wonder. And one film that fulfilled all those expectations was The Red Shoes. It was the first time I saw the Archers logo in color. And of course, I particularly remember the ballet sequence, wanting to know how they made the dancer turn into a scrap of newspaper. These days, I'm told that Powell Pressburger represents something called English romanticism, but I don't really know what that is. To me, the overwhelming impression of their films has always been to do with color, light, movement, and a sense of music.
And it's really funny because he talks about the fact that when he was a kid, he had asthma and therefore he couldn't go out and play with other kids. The thing that it reminded me of most was this idea that Made in England, of course, comes from their own credit for their own movie. His mother used to say, is it a British picture? And when she said that, what she meant was, is it in black and white, boring, and does it feature a bunch of people sitting around a sink having a conversation? And of course, for Russell, he was hugely influenced by Powell and Pressburger, by that kind of the magical realism of what they were doing, the fact that they were doing composed films that were music and image together, and just absolutely extraordinary visionary work that was so out of kilter, out of sync with what you think of as a particular British tradition. I mean, Powell and Pressburger are the things that then give you Ken Russell and Nick Rogue, and I suppose later on, even Ben Wheatley, I think. Anyway, the documentary is great, partly because if you go and see it on a big screen, because it's lovely to see those clips on a big screen. There's a weird thing about Scorsese, looking slightly off camera. It's a weird thing where he's not quite looking at you. He's looking slightly to the side, which is just a kind of, hey, we take it on him. It's not a problem because he loves the film so much. And he's Martin Scorsese. He can look wherever he wants. But there was a weird kind of eye line thing going on with that. But I just sat there. It's 2.25 hours long. And I just sat there thinking, I love these films. I mean, Matter of Life and Death is The Good Lady Professor Herringdall's favorite film of Ev's. And Scorsese loves them and talks about them so passionately. And it's just great to see them being reclaimed. And of course, again, a great argument for Peeping Tom, which was the film that was savaged by the critics when it came out. And then it could now recognised as a masterpiece. Anyway, Made in England, the film's Powell and Pressburger. If you get a chance, you want to hear Martin Scorsese rhapsodising about why Powell and Pressburger are so important, go see this because it's very, very fine.